Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand Punarvasu Nakshatra. So Punarvasu Nakshatra ranges from 20 degrees of Gemini to 3 degree 20 minutes of Cancer. So three padas of Punarvasu Nakshatra lie in Gemini, whereas the fourth pada lies in the sign of Cancer. So Punarvasu is a Jupiterian nakshatra and it consists of two bright stars. So every nakshatra consists of some number of stars. If you observe Ardra, it has only one single star. Ashwini nakshatra has two stars. Rohini again has one star. Like that you can see. And Kritika has 7 stars. Those 7 stars are the wives of 7 celestial sages, right? So like that every nakshatra has some number of stars. Similarly, Punarvasu has 2 bright stars. And the brightness means basically the visible magnitude of these 2 stars are 1.58, 1.22. So it's something like if visual magnitude is higher, the brightness is lower, and if visual magnitude is lower, then the brightness is higher. Here in the modern astronomical world, these 2 stars are called as Castor and Pollux. They're very easily visible in the night sky, and if you see, previously we understood, right, the Mrigashira and Ardra, these 2 nakshatras basically they're basically present in the constellation Orion. So here this particular Punarvasu nakshatra consisting of 2 stars can be located at the top left hand corner above Orion. So in most ancient cultures, especially the Vedic culture, these 2 stars were considered as twins. So it's something like, it looks like a quiver of arrows. Quiver is a kind of a basket kind of thing where we keep the arrows. And if you observe the meaning of Punarvasu Nakshatra, it means good again, wealthy again, right? It's a kind of visible infinity because Punarvasu Nakshatra is very much related to space. Punarvasu basically, the deity is Aditi, and Aditi means space basically. Why this space meaning is coming into the picture, we will see that, right? And here Punarvasu, a Vasu is basically a prosperity. So Vasus, when we discuss, we generally say the Asta Vasus, right? See, these Vasus are demigods carrying all the desirable qualities like goodness, strength, prosperity, right? So when you discuss Dhanishta Nakshatra, we talk about these Vasus, the Astavasus, right? See, the Punarvasu literally translates into becoming Vasu again, becoming prosperous again, becoming means having strength again, right? So what is the meaning? Why it is again? We will see that, right? See, we also get an impression of some positive transformation from darkness into light. That is one important thing here. So somewhere the darkness came, and then the lighting up is happening again, right? So this particular duality and interplay between the opposites is the essence of Punarvasu. And its visible infinity, another meaning of Punarvasu is visible infinity. So its visible infinity meaning is more related to its ruling deity, that is Aditi. And why the space is, we are talking about space because Punarvasus are very much adaptability, they have that adaptability, right? And we'll talk about that, what kind of adaptability they have. They generally have give and take policy. We'll see that give and take policy is the main theme of Punarvasu. So it's not like Punarvasu people are going to give you, everything, even if you don't give them anything. They work based on give and take policy, right? So they're not very innocent that they just only give and encourage you. It's not that. We'll see that. See, the most accepted symbol of Punarvasu is a quiver full of arrows. Sometimes one single arrow is taken as its symbol, but in any case, let us it is quiver full of arrows or single arrow, it can be anything. The arrow symbolism dominates every time. So whenever you talk about Punarvasu, you talk about arrow. So an arrow has been traditionally associated with every aspect of human nature and functioning. It's something like arrow of desire, arrow of ambition, so arrow of time, right? So in all these cases, the arrow is always associated with some sort of movement, some sort of striving, you can say, right? So the arrows in the Punarvasu quiver are not normal arrows. They are supposed to be like the divine astras, the divine weapons used in ancient times. So they magically return after fulfilling their function or mission. So this conveys the idea of renewal, regeneration, and endless beginnings. Generally, Punarvasu people, they go to accomplish a mission, and generally, yes, they are victorious, they can accomplish that mission. So Punarvasu's quiver basically represents energy and resources at one's command. What that quiver consisting of? It consists of arrows. So it is up to us to choose the purpose and timing of their use. When to use those arrows, in what situations we need to use those arrows, right? So that is up to us. But Punarvasu is a kind of arrow house. It has that, right? So it has a distinction of returning safely from any mission it undertakes. It has that. So whenever Punarvasu goes to accomplish a mission, most of the times it can accomplish that mission. So this mission may be as simple as going to the neighborhood shop, or you can say as difficult as climbing an Everest. So the mission can take place on any plane. It can be mental plane, physical plane, emotional plane, astral plane, causal plane, whatever you may think, right? So it is Punarvasu's function to ensure safe return to the starting point. So when you talk about Punarvasu, you talk about safety. You talk about safety, the safe return. Safe return to the starting point. So no wonder that Punarvasu became synonymous with the word safety, right? Safety. And there's an alternative symbolism for Punarvasu, a house. right? A house, just an idea of safety. It conveys the idea of safety because Punarvasu represents safe return, right? It's prosperous again, right? So there is a kind of circular symbolism here, right? Coming back, getting the prosperity back, right? So we can also easily uh, understand that it has a lot to do with any kind of movement or searching, right? So the kind of movement it has, it's a good movement because it can accomplish the task and comes back. So basically the movement is also very good. See, all the qualities normally associated with the sign Sagittarius, which also has an arrow as its symbol, can be applied to Punarvasu as well. The fact that the journey always ends where one started is leading us to the circular symbolism also, right? See, time and reality are cyclical and not linear. And in Vedic culture, they actually believed time is also cyclical, right? So the modern, if you see the modern Darwinian theory of evolution, suggests that the human race is in a state of unhindered evolution by the process of natural selection. This implies, this implies that we as a race are becoming more intelligent than our ancestors with each passing generation. But generation by generation, our intellect is increasing based on Darwinian theory. The theory also suggests that we are in a state of perpetual progress through linear time, which only moves forward, right? So, this is in opposition to the view held by our ancient civilizations, the ancient cultures, and they knew that time is basically cyclical and that nature renews itself through perpetual repetition, right? It's not perpetual progress, it's actually the perpetual repetition. So, the modern scientific theory or the Darwinian theory believes in it's perpetual progress, it's a linear motion, but our ancient cultures basically believed that it's the time is basically having this perpetual repetition, it has cyclical nature. So this repetition has a helical nature, just in the case with DNA strands which make up the genetic code. How DNA looks helical, right, rather than a purely circular nature. But for symbolic purposes, the circle has always been used as the symbolism, just for symbolism, right? And if you observe, Shatabhisha and Punarvasu are the two main nakshatras which reveal and deal with this aspect of universal functioning. So this kind of helical, right, helical behavior of time, or the cyclical behavior of time, or you can say the circular behavior of time, right, just for symbolism, because we just want to show the perpetual repetition. That is the main theme, main idea here. So whenever you talk about the perpetual repetition, the cyclical nature of the time, when you talk about that, we generally talk about these two nakshatras, that is Shatabhisha and Punarvasu. Or you can say, whenever you talk about Shatabhisha and Punarvasu nakshatras, you talk about the universal functioning of time, the cyclical nature of the time, right? And if you see, Aditi is the deity of Punarvasu nakshatra, Aditi is basically the mother of the 12 Adityas, the solar deities, is the main ruling deity of Punarvasu. So Aditi translates into unbounded. Unbounded. Basically, it gives the idea of space. Aditi means space. She is often seen as the goddess of abundance. She is a sky goddess who is said to be the mother of all the godly beings in the universe. In a way, she relates to all space, basically. Um, the manifest universe, as we know, is basically a function of space and time, right? So when I talk about universe, you talk about space and time. So space, like time, has an infinite quality to it, has some infinity quality, infinite quality to it, and for all purposes can be taken as unbounded. Space is always unbounded. Just like how you analyze time, similarly you analyze space, right? See, the visible infinity translation of Punarvasu uh, starts to make some sense. The visible infinity, it has some sense because Aditi is the deity of Punarvasu and she is a sky goddess, and she actually she relates to all space, right? So the reality, however, is that both space and time are finite quantities bounded by the circular aspect of nature, right? It seems the space and time are infinite, but basically space and time are finite quantities bounded by the circular aspect of the nature. That's where we talked about the perpetual repetition, right? So Aditi, or space, is actually is very much required for any kind of motion or movement. If some movement has to happen, then there must be some space, right? So Aditi means space. So that Aditi is required for movement, that space is required for motion or movement. So if there is no space, there is no motion at all. So in fact, there can be no concept of existence either, right? So if something is to exist, existence is a kind of, if something has to move, you need space. So space has always been the receptive feminine principle as opposed to time, which is seen in a more masculine light. In ancient cultures, time was seen in terms of a kind of masculine behavior, but space is a kind of feminine in their thought. So Aditi, they basically named a feminine thing, or the space is basically is Aditi, which is feminine in nature. So going by this line of thinking, Aditi should be the mother of all the existence, right? Because Aditi is feminine, Aditi is mother of all that exists. So, and there is another word, that is Diti. It's a bounded space, is the mother of all ungodly or demonic beings in the universe. So Diti, like the night, can be seen as dark space, which is dark, very dark and mysterious and evil side of nature. But whereas Aditi relates to the space which, like the day, is full of light and is very benevolent side of nature, you can say. Whereas Diti is dark side of nature. So Aditi's rulership of Punarvasu imparts it with a maternal, caring, sensitive, reasonable and accommodating approach. Because Aditi means space, it is the mother of all the existence. So that motherly nature, right? That kind of nurturing, nourishment, mother gives all this nurturing. So that maternal side, the caring side, the sensitive side is associated with Punarvasu Nakshatra. So generally speaking, the Punarvasu fourth pada, of course Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 are in Gemini, but if you see the Punarvasu fourth pada, that is in the sign of Cancer. They are treated as good mothers, because the Cancer sign is the fourth house, the natural fourth house. It has a lot of motherly nature associated with it. And the Punarvasu fourth pada actually is in the sign of Cancer. And Punarvasu, the deity of Punarvasu is Aditi, that is space, that is the mother of all the existence. It has a lot of feminine nature, means the motherly nature. So Punarvasu 4 compared to Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 has a lot of maternal, caring, sensitive side. Also Punarvasu is very accommodating in nature. So generally they can adjust in any kind of environment, because Punarvasu is nothing but space. Punarvasu is nothing but space. So just like the space which accommodates all, Punarvasu is very accommodating of people, situations, circumstances, and any kind of energies. So that is the fundamental behavior of Punarvasu. And in the universal scheme of things, if you see the Punarvasu Nakshatra, the energy of Punarvasu has the power to gain or retrieve objects or objectives. So its main theme is triumphant, return, and renewal. So whenever a Punarvasu energy goes to achieve a task, generally it achieves that. Generally it completes that mission, right? So the arrow which hits its target in Ardra now returns back, you can say. So Ardra is a place where intellect is born, right? So if you see, the symbolism has wind which carries the clouds above and rain which revitalizes the plants below. So just like the rain, Punarvasu actually brings a kind of renewal. So another way of seeing, if you see, right? So wind carries the clouds to where they need to be, after the rain is over. Returning back is what Punarvasu, right? So clouds would return back once the rain is over. The rain is Ardra, you can say. You can see the Ardra video, then you can understand better. So the essence of Punarvasu's nature and functioning lies in two words, that is nurturing and harmony. So you can see it represents the first light after the storm, because Ardra is the storm. And Punarvasu is Aditi, the light, the day, right? So Punarvasu represents a harmonious conditions in nature. Once the rain is over, once the storm is over, how you feel? Storm is Ardra. You can see the Ardra video, right? In this channel, you can understand what is Ardra. Then Punarvasu is actually the harmonious conditions in the nature once the storm is over. But what happens once the rain is over, once the storm is over? And nurturing happens, the harmony happens. So nature seems to be at its happiest in the period after a storm, right? So when the chirping of birds and the fresh smell from the rejuvenated earth creates a buzz in the air. So consequently, Punarvasu represents favorable conditions for life to thrive on all levels. So the inherent calm of this nakshatra makes natives strongly under its influence contented people who get satisfied easily. Of course, it depends on other planetary positions also, but Punarvasu has that contention because Punarvasu is that happiness after rain, is that harmony after rain, is that nurturing after rain. So basically, they are calm, they're very peaceful, harmonious. But of course, if there is any malefic planet in some other house, right? So the whole horoscope is to be checked. But Punarvasu basically gives the Punarvasu energy gives accommodating nature. They can adjust in any kind of environment, and they are happiest people. They are fine. They're fine with uh, normal conditions as well. They're contented people. So they believe in living a simple spiritual life and strive hard to get rid of any negative energies or any kind of negative feelings, negative thoughts. They just want to get rid of all of them. They don't bear negative things. They're very calm and peaceful, especially the Punarvasu 4. Just imagine the motherly nature, the calm going nature, right? See, if they have some laziness somewhere in the horoscope, that calmness would also be associated with that laziness, but they are basically harmonious people. Uh, they try to get rid of all the negative feelings, negative thoughts, right? Because they know that negative feelings and negative thoughts can stop the evolutionary process. And once after the rain, you can see the nurturing happens, the growth happens. So Punarvasu is a nakshatra where the interplay of the mental and emotional, the mental and the emotional things are interplayed here. See, as both have the same amount of strength, we'll talk why this same strength is coming into the picture. See, Ardra, the mental, is much stronger, while the emotional part is in the process of developing. There is no emotional part developed in Ardra, only the mental part is developed. So there is no balancing thing. But in Punarvasu, you can find the balance because the quality which arises out of this, see, in Ardra, there is only mental thing, the intellectuality is developed, but the emotional thing is not developed. Emotional things can give the reasonability, right? So the emotional part is not developed in Ardra, but in Punarvasu, the emotional part is developed. There you can find the balance. When the mental state and the emotional state both are able to adjust, you can find balance, you can find reasonability. So Punarvasu represents the stage in life when a child outgrows its naughtiness and also the kind of this naughtiness and a kind of a kind of outrageousness, right? Those are all settled into a mindset which is more aware of the needs of the others. So now in Punarvasu, not only that intellect but also the emotional part is developed. That balance, right? That balance is what is called as viveka. That viveka is what is Jupiter. That's where Jupiter is assigned as the planetary ruler of Punarvasu. See, in other people, you don't find this kind of balance, right? Especially in Punarvasu 4, you can find this balance of mental and emotional energies, the balance between mental and emotional energies. So, that settled mindset, which is more aware of the needs of the others. So that's why Punarvasu 4 people are a bit different from others, because they are able to find the balance between the emotional and mental energies. But others, for others, it's very difficult to find the balance between emotional and mental things. So that's where the Punarvasu 4 people, when they see others are, others are fighting for something, unnecessarily, then they just feel it very silly. Punarvasu 4 people may feel it very silly, right? So Punarvasu energy is where the balance is happening. See, this usually, um, generally in the people between 9 and 14, between that age, children can develop that balance, right? That balance. Now they don't cry for something unnecessarily. They know the needs of others. They know what is happening outside. It's not only just the intellect playing for them, but also the emotions are playing for them, so they can find the balance, and they are calm basically, right? Between 9 and 14. So children at this age have the unique ability to live in the moment, and they are friendly and good natured at the same time, if you observe. So this ability is retained by those under strong influence of this particular nakshatra throughout their lives. That's why Punarvasu 4 people are very good friends to others. They have this calm going, they have this live in the moment nature. So 9 to 14 are the is the right age to get a child interested in spiritual writings and philosophies also, as they are more likely to take them seriously, right? So Punarvasu is related to all kinds of spiritual practices meant to foster self understanding and enlightenment. So the interplay of mental and emotional things gives rise to a very active, profound. It's a profound and a kind of inspired imagination. Basically, we can find balance between emotional and mental plane here in Punarvasu. That's where the calmness is coming into the picture. So Punarvasu natives, they excel in arts like poetry, writing, some other arts also, some music or something, especially Punarvasu 4, because of that Cancer energy. So you can see the people with Punarvasu rising on the ascendant are usually uh, they have some kind of benevolent expression, because Aditi is benevolent side. So Rama, incarnation of Vishnu, right? You can see that quiet, patient uh, energy in Rama. Rama is basically has a Cancer rising, a Punarvasu 4 rising, right? So generally Punarvasu energy gives the energies like quiet, patient, devote, temperance, contrary views, amiability, adaptability, self-understanding, and nobility. This is basically Punarvasu. So Punarvasu's generosity, it's very interesting. Whenever you talk about Punarvasu, you talk about Punarvasu's generosity. It's not unconditional, it's very conditional. It works on the principle of give and take. That's what we discussed previously also. So that's where safety is coming into the picture. They don't give everything just like that. Based on give and take policy only they give, right? That's where safety is coming into the picture. So Punarvasu natives usually lack the strong mental capacity of Ardra, because Ardra is more like mental, and they have a much simpler approach to life. Punarvasu has much simpler approach, but Ardra has more mental capacity. And Punarvasu people generally they lack foresight, a negative quality which gets them into complications, but they're always lucky to get out of this kind of things. But they lack foresight. But safety is one of the keywords of this nakshatra, so safety is always there. See, one can easily rule out any serious misfortune in relation to the significations Punarvasu influences in a nativity. It gives luck because it is associated with safety. Big misfortunes may not occur with Punarvasu. Even though there is some misfortune, it will be get rid of, because the prosperity will come again. So let us say if somebody is having ascendant lord, let us say placed in Punarvasu, would rule out any serious disease, accidents or bodily malfunctions and any kind of things, because Lagna Lord indicates your body. So even if you have some problem, some disease to your body, as your Lagna Lord is in Punarvasu, you will regain back. You will get well soon. Everything will be fine for you again. So don't worry, right? If your Lagna Lord is in Punarvasu. On the whole, you can see Punarvasu natives usually lead comfortable lives filled with some kind of adventures, of course, and some kind of upheaval. Some kind of problems come, but again, the prosperity comes back. So that is where it's becoming Vasu again is Punarvasu. Vasu means prosperity. So this is about Punarvasu, and we'll talk much more about this nakshatra in our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching this video.